Hi, it's time for Street Talk, your voice and your views on the issues in the news. Is nuclear power the way to go? That was our question of the week on YouTube. With more developing countries announcing their plans to build nuclear facilities, what impact will this have on the world? Here's a video response we received from a viewer who goes by the name Jester8930 in the United States.
Every country has the right to establish nuclear facilities for arms, for power. Now, the United States and many other developed countries have already done that. Other developing countries in the Middle East have every right to do that as well.
Another viewer in the US disagrees. I do not feel this is the best way to address the energy problem. Nuclear energy is inefficient, very expensive, and dangerous. An Italian viewer sees another sort of power in nuclear power. I believe that if Iran had nuclear capability, this would counterbalance Israel's current excessive power in the region. And finally, a viewer in Kuwait takes a more practical approach. All nations have the right to pursue alternatives for their energy needs. The oil-rich states are coming to the realization that their resources are finite, and so it is prudent for them and others to look for other sources of energy as well. Now, his controversial views on Iran, Iraq and terrorism have sparked a heated debate about American foreign policy and credibility among our viewers. Last week on the Riz Khan show, Michael Ledeen, a neocon connected to the Bush administration, got some of you hot under the collar when he said this about Iran.
If we wanted to wage war against terror, then Iran was the place to start. And the way to deal with Iran was not by invading it, but by supporting the Iranian people who are overwhelmingly opposed to the regime.
Khaled in Oman told us what the U.S. could do to reduce resentment in the Middle East. The U.S. should recognize that actions such as constant military threats, humiliating the Iranian president and supporting one-sided propaganda is a major cause of rising resentment against the U.S. in the Middle East. Mike in Texas thinks the U.S. has enough credibility in the Middle East. We said we were going to take out Saddam. We did. We said we were going to remove the Taliban. We did. We said we're going to stay and restore stability to Iraq. We are. We are friends with the Iranian people, not enemies. It is Ahmadinejad who threatens the West. Bill in New Zealand thinks some humility may help. The best thing the U.S. administration can do to restore its credibility in Iran and the Middle East is to keep out, adopt a far more conciliatory trade role, and start working to change the perception of their culture from one that is arrogant and aggressive to one more moderate and consistent. As the climate change conference in Bali was cooling down, a man in Japan was igniting his own eco-friendly holiday season. Kazuhiko Minawa is powering the lights on a Christmas tree with the help of an electric eel. Every time the eel moves in the tank, it discharges up to 800 watts of electricity to make the tree sparkle. But Minawa has even bigger ambitions. He wants to get all the eels from all over the world to light a giant Christmas tree that can be seen from space. Well, how's that for an electric Christmas? Do keep sending in your questions and comments and point us to anything interesting or amusing for Street Talk. Remember, what you see here isn't necessarily the view of Al Jazeera. Some of the content has been edited, but for time and space reasons only. And that's the talk on the street.